joining BYU Sports Nation right now. A guy who knows a thing or two about Power 5 schools and basketball for that matter. Dave Odom, tournament chairman of the EA Sports Invitational and former coach at the college level. Hey, it's great to have you back on the program, Dave.
Oh, man, I've been counting the days. You guys had me early on and then forgot me. So I'm glad to be back.
We never forgot you. I promise you that. Okay, so BYU and San Diego State, we love the matchup to open the Cougars' run at the Maui Invitational. How much did rivalries play into that game coming to fruition?
It was a huge amount. And, when we put that together, we were thinking totally about storylines for the first games, the first round of games. And if you look at each one of them, San Diego State versus BYU included, there's a great storyline. And you've already hit on the one for BYU San Diego State, and that would be the prior rivalry in the, Mountain West at that time?
Yeah.
That's right. That both teams were in. It was a rather hot and spirited rivalry, and we just thought what better way to get the tournament in Maui underway than try to reincarnate as best we possibly could the fire and the passion of the Mountain West and bring the Aztecs and the BYU program together again.
How do you decide the matchups?
Well, that's really a big part of it is first round storylines. We want to try to keep the two brackets as balanced as we possibly can. Always when you have Chaminade, there's going to be a bit of an imbalance, at least on paper. But with them comes the sense of expectancy. You expect the unexpected with them. You don't know what's going to happen, as Texas found out the other day. But when you look at the two brackets, I believe they are as balanced as they could possibly be. The first round matchups are exciting. I mean, you've got Jamie Dixon at Pitt, 2 years an assistant coach at the University of Hawaii, playing a Hawaii team. He married a Hawaii girl, so there's a great storyline there. Kansas State, Purdue. You've got Bruce Weber, who was an assistant coach at Purdue when Matt Painter was coming along. He hires Matt Painter at Southern Illinois as his assistant. Matt Painter's career was launched there, so there's a great storyline there. And, of course, anywhere Arizona is going to be a good storyline. People are going to be following that. So, but I don't think there's a better first-round game than Brigham Young and San Diego State. I think that's the best one. That's the one that's going to hold the most intrigue and the most interest.
Dave Odom, three-time ACC Coach of the Year and Tournament Chair of the EA Sports Maui Invitational, joining BYU Sports Nation. Is this the premier non-conference tournament in college basketball, Dave?
Well, that's for other people to decide, but I'll tell you this. This is our, 31st, 32nd year as a tournament, so we've got longevity on our side. Our goal is to make every year the very best it can be and better than the one before, so we keep building on that success. And when you really look at it, guys, I would think that the EA Sports Maui Invitational Tournament in November is to basketball what the Rose Bowl is to football.
Interesting.
We are the granddaddy of them all.
Is that the new nickname of the Maui Invitational?
Pardon?
Is that the new nickname of the Invitational?
I call it Maui Magic several years ago when we coined that. I'm saying we are the Rose Bowl of basketball.
Wow.
We are the granddaddy of them all.
Well, it's certainly great matchups every year. I find myself watching this tournament, whether BYU had been in it or not. I love seeing the commentators in the Hawaiian shirts. I love everything about it. I think it's great that BYU's in it. I especially like, and you can appreciate this as a former coach, the RPI boost that it can give you in a non-conference tournament. Of course, Chaminade is a D2, not as much, but the other schools give you an opportunity to be showcased early. That's the opportunity that each of these teams have in this tournament.
Well, I think all the coaches go into the tournament with two goals in mind. One is to find out who you are. Search for reality. Who are you? What is our team all about? What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? And there is no greater way to do that than to challenge yourself early at the very highest level. And when you look at Arizona, Missouri, Kansas State, Purdue, BYU, San Diego State, Pittsburgh, you're challenging yourself early. You'll know coming out of there, whether you're 0-3, 1-2, 2-1, or 3-0, you're going to know who you are. You're going to know what your strengths are. You're going to know what your weaknesses are. And the other is to win the tournament. If you go back and look, past history tells you the teams that win the tournament do very well in postseason. This is preseason. You can project pretty well. Go back to, 2010. Kemba Walker comes in. People are wondering about him. He propels the Connecticut team all the way to the Maui championship, beating Kentucky and all of those freshmen. And next thing you know, they're playing in March for the championship again. And Kemba Walker now has established himself and once again beats Kentucky for the national championship. Those are the kind of stories that Maui breeds.
3 games in 3 days against good teams certainly yields that experience. I want to get your opinion on just a general coaching question related to a specific BYU thing. The Cougars will have 16 eligible players on its roster, including a couple of walk-ons they expect to actually play and contribute. How do you ever have a roster that big, and how do you think you can manage that many guys on a team in a given year?
Well, you're asking me to coach Dave Rose's team. I can't do that.
Just 16 in general.
I think he's probably fairly well adept to that. Let's face it, BYU has an unusual recruiting system, if you will. The going and the coming of the LDS kids is unusual. Dave understands that. He knows how to do it. When you say they've got 2 walk-ons coming on that could very well earn some playing time, right away my tentacles go up, and I say, these are 2 Mormon kids that are going to pay their own way to come to school there because they love the school, and they're pretty good basketball players, and it's probably not going to cost them a lot of money. And that's totally upfront and legal, and you're crazy if you don't use that type of thing. So I really do believe this. When I was recruiting, if I recruited 2 players at the same position the same year, and I can go back to Virginia when I was an assistant there, Terry Holland's the head coach, and we had Ralph Sampson on our team, and that was a team that got whacked by Chaminade over there. It's probably the reason we got the tournament now. But I remember we were recruiting Othell Wilson and Ricky Stokes, and I said to Terry, how are we going to get 2 great guards to come in the same year? There's only one position. He said, we tell them that they are going to compete with each other and not against each other. For if you recruit against each other or compete against each other, there'll be a winner and a loser. If you compete with each other, both of you will get better, and consequently our team will get better. And I suspect he might put it in different vernacular, but I suspect Dave Rose will have a conversation like that with all 16 players.
Dave Odom, EA Sports Maui Invitational Chairman, joining BYU Sports Nation. You brought up the 1982 Virginia Chaminade game, Coach. Is it annoying to relive that?
Actually, it's not. It was for the first 5-10 years, maybe. People throw that at you. Were you on the bench? What happened? Like we wanted to lose. They didn't know we had Frank and Jesse James refereeing. It was a little. Hey, guys, you hear that?
Yeah.
Hey, Frank and Jesse. It's okay to laugh. I'm just kidding. It's now you feel very much a part of history. I'm not sure this tournament would be played now if it weren't for that game. And if that's true, then that means there would be no basketball on the island, or at least none that anybody would care about. And so if it took that game and that loss by Virginia to get this thing started, to open up basketball on the islands to Hawaii, then I'm glad to be a part of it.
Talking with Dave Odom, 3-time ACC Coach of the Year, and the guy that's running the EA Sports Maui Invitational. Coach, what's the players' experience like in Hawaii? I know it's a whirlwind of basketball, 3 games in 3 days, but what kind of other things do they get to enjoy while they're in a unique tournament like this?
Guys, it is a veritable summer wonderland. It really is. All the water sports that you can imagine are at their disposal. the paddle boarding, the surfing, the swimming, the snorkeling, on and on and on and on, anything you can think of. Certainly if you're into the tourist sightseeing type thing, you've got rainforests on one side of the island. You've got the beaches on the other. In the 1st of December, you'll have the World Surfing Championships on all those big high waves that come in there. You could go see that. There's a plethora of restaurants that are there. The 3 hotels that we put our teams in are right on the water, and it's all 1 mile away from the Lahaina Civic Center. So if your fans want to go to see just BYU play, they can go for 2 hours to watch that and then straight to the beaches. And I know you got a lot of light skins out there, so you better watch them. They'll get burned quickly.
Let's end on this. You recruited and coached Tim Duncan. What's the best Tim Duncan story you can tell us?
Oh, boy. The best one. I mean, there are all kinds of great stories. I could tell you one about we're on a plane heading to Salt Lake. Did you hear that?
Yeah,
Salt
heard
Lake,
of it.
Utah. Yep. We're going out there, and it was in his 2nd year. And
to play Utah,
Keith Van Horn.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, Keith Van Horn was on the running Utes team, and Rick Majerus, my good friend, was coaching, and it was the first ever New Year's Eve game. It was going to start at 10 o'clock Mountain Time, and we're on the plane heading out there, and Tim's he's sitting across from me on the aisle. I'm on the aisle on the other side, and he was very pensive, looking at maybe some tape or something like that. And it was really his first big national game, and I just reached over and I put my arm on him, and I touched him, and I said, Timmy, we can win this game now. We're coming out here to win this basketball game. Because I didn't know his real mentality now. I mean, it was his first really big game. And he looked at me right in the eye and said, why else would we be coming? Why else would we be coming? And, of course, we did win. We won the game. Not that he played that well that night, but we did win it. And it just tells you a little bit about his mentality. And, that was the beginning of a good 4-game series between Wake Forest and Utah, and one that I still enjoy talking about. But it just tells you a little bit about his seriousness of purpose and his sense of fearlessness, which I think still even pervades today.
I'll never forget that game because I was a huge Wake Forest fan that night.
In the arena, right?
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah. No, that was a meaningful win, and I rubbed it in all of my Utah fans' faces. So, thank you for that, Coach. Also, we're still trying to get BYU Sports Nation out to the islands. Anything you can do to further that process, we would greatly appreciate, Coach. And on that note,
he's not going to help. He's not going to help. He's like, no, I'm out.